time for the Cartoon Connoisseur Theater Podcast. This is Frederick the announcer, who is being handsomely paid in food and is wonderfully eating it right now. And I am here to introduce you to Ubernerd 527. And now here he is, Ubernerd 527.
Hey there, arcaders and cartoon connoisseurs. Ubernerd 527 here, and I'm very, very excited to be here for our first Cartoon Connoisseur Theater Podcast. Before we get started, I just want to briefly say that I know that originally this started as a video review series, but I have so much to talk about cartoons that I decided to turn it into a podcast. And for my very first episode, I actually have a very special guest from the 52 Now podcast, which you can also see on iTunes. I have Dave. Dave, welcome to the podcast, man.
I'm glad to be here. This is the first podcast doing this. Just awesome.
Yes, and it's kind of a reboot, which is actually kind of a great segue because we're going to be talking about reboots today.
Rebooted cartoon series.
Cartoon series.
There's a bunch coming down the pike soon,
right.
So it's actually really cool that we get to talk about it.
Right, and the three that we want to hit on real quick is DuckTales. I mean, that's
jumping right in with DuckTales.
I know, right?
Just going to the big one first.
That's right.
Build up.
I mean, how many times did you come home as quickly as possible just so you could see DuckTales?
I distinctly remember the Disney afternoon, and I remember DuckTales being the first full show. I remember coming home, and you would catch like the last 10 minutes of Gummy Bears, which no one liked. That's why they put it on like that 3 o'clock hour. But then you would jump in and watch DuckTales, and that was like the main staple. That was like the corner post of the Disney afternoon. So yeah, I definitely remember that show fondly. Very fun. And
I'm very excited for it coming back too. I just really hope that they keep the spirit of the show. Because even now, I think the show pretty much holds up by itself and the stories and stuff.
I didn't realize how much they took from the old like Hardy Boys books, which are like old like Johnny Quest almost with ducks. It definitely did help. I think it held up. The stories held up. The characters definitely did because they're still beloved.
Johnny Quest with ducks. That's
that's
in my head right now. Okay. All right. Next we have.
Well, let me touch on one thing.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
If we're talking about DuckTales, I want to talk about. I'm really hoping when they reboot this that it's the bigger universe. Like they open it up.
Oh, Gizmo Duck. They need Gizmo Duck.
Not just Gizmo Duck. My favorite Disney afternoon show of all time was Darkwing Duck.
Yes, definitely.
They lived in the same universe, but they really didn't interact. I think Launchpad and Gizmo Duck were the only two kind of like crossed over. But how cool would it be to have like the boys, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, team up with like Goslin, or they do like a villain takes over. A Duckburg and stuff like that. I hope they now take the Bugle Boys versus Darkwing Duck. They never did stuff like that in the past, and now they have that opportunity. Especially, I in my mind as a kid, all those universes kind of existed at the same time. Like I always wanted to see like the Rescue Rangers or Tailspin even cross over. Like I would love to see a Darkwing Duck Don Carnage. Just battle of stupidity, like dumb monologue type thing. But no, I think it's really cool to bring it back. Is it going to be traditional animation, CG?
They haven't announced. It's 2 years ahead, so they
2 years.
Announced
so
it.
2016,
2017.
2017.
Yeah,
we're gonna. Oh man.
I don't know why they announced it so early, but they did.
Are you hoping for traditional? You don't want them to go CG.
I want them to do traditional. I doubt it very highly. They will. They may do CG.
I think the CG is because if you look at like their CG quality is good,
right?
But you miss the little details about stuff like that. Like I look at my wife's younger cousins and nephews and stuff like that watched the Mickey Mouse Club, Mickey Mouse Club thing.
Yes.
And it's cool that it's CG and that they can do a syndicated program 5 days a week in CG, but you lose a lot of that personality because they can't put as many characters on the screen. They can't put as much detail in the background. I'm not saying that I would like them to go back to that hand-drawn style, but like I like when they do the computer-animated backgrounds and they animate on top of it.
Right.
Because I think, like Gravity Falls is a really interesting I'm not saying that style, but that look of putting the hand drawn over the CG. I think that'd be good for DuckTales. I think it'd really work out.
Yeah, and being from a comic podcast, have you read the Darkwing Duck comic?
I have not.
Oh my goodness.
I've never. I was a big fan. I have the distinct memory as a kid being a fan of Darkwing Duck. When I came down to Disney, you couldn't find anything Darkwing Duck.
No,
he did the Disney Afternoon live action show. You couldn't meet him after the show. I think the only merchandise I got from that was the old Tiger Electronic handheld game. They ran off 2 AA's. That was awful, but it was like all I had to grasp onto.
The NES game was good too, by the way.
It was. I did.
Oh
I own that. And I know recently you mentioned the only thing that I can remember recently seeing it in is Disney Infinity. You can get the Rat Catcher, which was awesome.
Yes.
I was always hoping, like, when is that Infinity figure coming out?
It's a power-up thing, and it really bugs me because I want it in the game. I want to just.
I want Darkwing in the game.
He technically is in the game. Technically, he's like one of these little Lego guys.
That's go.
But anyways,
what's got on reboots?
If you go to, by the way, if you go to Boom Studios did a Darkwing Duck series.
Okay.
And he fights one of the DuckTales villains, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
All right, so because Disney announced this, somebody's got to one-up them. So, and that person was Netflix.
Did it twice.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken, they did it twice.
Inspector Gadget,
which is
and
awesome.
Danger Mouse.
Another awesome, obscure but awesome title.
I never watched Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse is weird because it was like a Man from U.N.C.L.E. spy kind of. It was along that lines of like the secret agent, but it was like a lab rat mouse thing. I don't remember a lot of details about the show, but I remember how good his look was, and I remember the bomb logo was like the big thing. Like I remember seeing the logo in my head over and over and over again, but I can't pull a lot of details.
Right.
But that's Netflix as well.
Right.
And then Inspector Gadget's huge.
Right. Oh, and it's going to be CG animated.
That is going to be CG. Yes. Didn't they do a CG animated of that before? I want to say in my head. Now,
I'm not sure.
I gave up on that franchise shortly after Matthew Broderick live action. They were Disney films.
Yes, they were.
So I thought Disney had the license for it for a while. I guess that's not the case anymore.
It probably just had the movie rights. Probably that's about it.
They could just produce Matthew Broderick.
Right, because they did. What else did they do? Didn't they do one of the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons?
I hope not, because those were terrible.
All right. Anyways.
So they're coming back as. We don't know what Danger Mouse is coming back at.
We don't know what Danger Mouse is. They announced that they were bringing it out.
Are these in spirit of the original ones, or are these kids programming again? Like, I'm not going to get a Danger Mouse that looks like Archer, is it? Because I'd be all over that. Mouse sexual innuendos would be amazing.
So.
No?
I don't think so. Inspector Gadget, they showed a picture and it's CG.
Okay.
Whether or not they'll just keep it the same format or not, I'm not sure.
Or Inspector Gadget screws everything up and Penny and Brain saves the day.
Mm-hmm.
It would be cool, like when they do stuff like this, you always run that fine line of, do we continue from original canon or do we reinvent it? Like, is Dr. Claw still in charge? Is it somebody else? Do we actually? No, we can't. I was so disappointed as a kid because I remember they did a line of Inspector Gadget action figures way after the show was here and gone, somewhere in the mid to late 90s. And I remember they did the Dr. Claw figure, and it was just like a piece of cardboard that covered the face. But if you looked from the top down or from the bottom at an angle, you could totally see his face. It was just some old dude with like a big chin. He looked like almost like Jay Leno.
An evil Jay Leno.
An evil Jay Leno with a cat in a middle hand. That's all I can picture it now.
I'm sorry. I'm picturing Fairly Odd Parents now. Sorry.
The other... I think it's cool they're coming to Netflix, so we'll get the whole series at once. We'll probably binge watch it. It'll be on there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you really think, just as... Not as a sidetrack, but no one on the subject... There's been a lot of reboots of cartoons we grew up as kids.
Right.
There's ones that have been continually rebooted since we were kids.
Right.
Ninja Turtles, Batman. I guess Justice League is the same vein as Batman.
Kind of.
But there's been stuff that's had these weird longevities where I grew up with them, but then my nephew who's 7 grew up with it,
Right.
and then like the future generations will have their own version of Transformers the same
Right.
way. We
Yeah.
grew up with Generation 1, and then like I can distinctly remember at the end, I had a roommate who was into animation and loved Beast Wars, and then he got me into Beast Machines.
Okay.
Which was that short-lived.
Oh, you're one of the
One
very
sick-
few fans, huh?
I won't say fans, but he sat down and he's like, watch this. Because he wanted to work for Mainframe,
Right.
who made the show Reboot,
Right.
which is hilarious.
There you go. Bringing us back to Reboot.
Bring about, just around circle. But it's weird that now, like, they're doing key titles again. Like, it seems like every couple of years we get a new Transformers, and they
Right.
kind of say, hey, this is this version of it. Hey, this is this version of it. So on and so forth. And no one makes a big deal when it's like they're rebooting Transformers again. I guess in some circles they do. I know this Ninja Turtles is more spirit of the original series,
Right,
than some of the other offshoots that they've done throughout the couple of years. So I think it's cool that they're going back to obscure titles. I won't say DuckTales is really obscure though,
No.
because it's especially when I expected it last year when the remaster, or 2 years ago when the remastered game came out.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to start all sorts, and knowing that the trailer for it was just the theme song to the show.
With the bouncing ball and
Everything. It was awesome.
No, I really agree, and that brings us to my next point. What cartoons do you like that have been rebooted? I mean, we already talked about Ninja Turtles. I mean,
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles was done really well.
It's funny. Ninja Turtles is a show. I think we got in a brief argument about this on the 52 Now with Andrew. It's a show. It's like characters I've kind of written off, just because it's been done so many times now. And then after the live action one, I'm like, all right, I'm good. Transformers, I feel the same way. I've always, obviously, my wheelhouse has always been comic books, and I love what the Timverse, how they've kind of, it started as a pebble in the pond and has rippled to this day.
Right.
I was just reading online that Machinima is going to get a 3-part Justice League called the Gods and Monsters Chronicles, which is based on the graphic novel, and which is going to spin into a feature-length animated film.
Oh, wow.
About Justice League, and it actually continues directly after Justice League Unlimited.
Oh,
So
my goodness.
you're
That's
talking.
awesome.
Well, if you look at that, the continuity and the legacy that they create about that show.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you're talking Justice League, Justice League let's go even farther back. Batman, Superman, Justice League Unlimited, or Justice League Unlimited.
Right.
That's all the same Timverse,
Right,
and
right.
now they're still taking it, and they've evolved that show. I guess the ones I'm getting to my point.
Right.
The
That's fine.
ones that I've really enjoyed are the ones that have grown up with me.
Right,
You know what
right.
I mean? Like
Right.
the ones that kind of seem timeless because I never had to dumb down my humor or my intelligence to go back to a time when I was 6, where animated series kind of drugged me through and kind of matured me. And when I go back and watch a show like that, I can appreciate the new stuff because the original canon has aged as well as I think I have. That kind of thing. Is that the best way? What do you look like? Like, what do you watch? What do you watch that you liked?
I like the Ninja Turtles one. And
I've heard a lot of good. I just haven't got to it. I'm not
Right.
bashing it. It's just
Right.
I've kind of written it off.
And especially if you like the comic, you like the comic look, it definitely brings a lot of the comicness to it. I think not only does it take from the original animated show, it also takes from the comic as well, which I enjoyed. And it's really neat to see
the Archie
you said-
comic, the IDW, the
No, the original comic.
the original Eastman.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. They take
Laura
a lot
Eastman
of it from it.
around
Yeah.
that. Oh, okay.
In fact, a lot of the artwork, because they have parts of it, it's CG animated, but they have parts of it that are hand drawn, and it looks real. And it's set up like a comic. Like, in fact, the first episode, Splinter's telling the tale of how they got to where they were.
Yeah.
And the whole time they're telling
as
the
he
tale.
does.
Yeah, as he does, because he does it like everything.
We got to do the origin story
Exactly.
over and over again. We get it. They're turtles. There's mutagen things. They're teenagers.
The good thing though is in that first episode, it's quick. It's boom.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah.
It's
we
like
need to. Yeah.
this is good. It's good. This is what happened. It happened. Now let's go on. But in that few minutes that they show it, it's very comic book set up. In fact, they have panels, they have everything. So it looks very comic booky. The artwork is very comic booky, and it has that feel. The thing that I like about it is that Ninja Turtles, it's funny because I work at a place where like families like to go to. And, you see these, like, people my age with, like, Ninja Turtle shirts and, old Ninja Turtle shirts. And then their kids have the new Ninja Turtle shirts.
Yeah.
And then you're like, so, can you believe that I used to watch it when I was your age?
Yeah. And that's what I was saying. It's something that grows up with you, that generation. I might have jumped the gun earlier.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine.
But that's it is something. It's not even a synergy. It's like known information. Like, right. I'm amazed through the generations when I was a kid that everyone's a Mickey Mouse fan.
Right.
It's like you come out of the womb, you love Mickey Mouse. You know who he is.
It's true.
It's just one of those characters. But
right.
now it's getting to where kids at a very early age are exposed to Transformers and Ninja Turtles and Batman and Spider-Man. And it's cool as long as they keep the formula right and they don't. I guess what I'm trying to say is don't sell out the character.
Right.
And
no. I agree.
I think like a series like I was saying before with Transformers, there's so many different versions of it.
Yeah.
And everyone, my generation is like G1. How long has it been since we've gone back and actually watched G1? Yeah. Where it was significant or where there was stuff for you to enjoy from it, because the stories were I just remember Spike. Basically, I remember the movie more than the actual show. Yeah. And it's funny because there's a lot of older cartoons that way that now where they translated a good chunk of a story into a feature-length film. Yeah. And you're like, well, that's all basically you need to know about the series.
Right.
And you watched it every morning. And I guess I'm trying to think of the other rebooted series. I did just recently read. Now you might be a fan of this. I wasn't. Powerpuff Girls is getting rebooted.
Yes.
It's on the slate for Cartoon Network for next year. This year? Next year? This fall.
Something like that, yes.
Were you a fan of the original series?
I love the original series.
Okay. So you excited about hearing a reboot?
Let me tell you. I have the entire series at home.
Oh, okay.
The entire series plus the movie.
Movie? Oh, yeah, they did do a feature.
They did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I will have to say, I wasn't a fan of Powerpuff Girls at first. But because, that whole thing of, when you first saw it, you're like, oh, it's a girl's cartoon.
Yeah, I totally wrote it out. I wanted to watch, like, Johnny Bravo and stuff like that because it was cool to watch,
But I saw this episode called Rainy Day where the girls had to stay inside and can't be superheroes because it was raining outside. And so they pretended that they were superheroes indoors. And they were pretending that each of them were each of the characters and stuff like that. They even got the professor in a Powerpuff Girls dress, which was hilarious. But that episode just was like, oh, I like that show.
Yeah, it kind of spins on that humor that you weren't expecting.
Right,
like
and
that.
It makes fun of itself, which is really nice.
Do you hope it's a retelling or take off from the original?
Here's my thing about it. First of all, it's already got one strike against it because they're not using the original cast.
They're not using the voice
None of
talents.
the original cast.
So you're just you throw it out. It's out to the pasture for
Gone.
you. You're just throwing it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because one of my favorite voice actresses was Tara Strong, and we talked about her earlier.
She's not doing it.
She's not doing it. Bubbles. She's not doing Bubbles.
What else is she doing?
Well, she's doing a lot.
Well, I know that. But if you go, we were talking earlier about her Twitter account that she's constantly just talking about what character she's played.
Right.
Because she's someone that takes pride in being
very much
so much in the mainstream conscious of being the voice of all these characters.
Twilight Sparkle and Harley Quinn and even Batgirl and
Raven. And both series.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, both.
Yeah, both. Mm-hmm. But on her Twitter account, people have been asking her if she's doing the new series, and she's
like, no.
flat out said, "No, I can't. Sorry."
She's got that.
Well, no, she said she didn't. Let me correct myself. She didn't say I can't. She says, "No, I'm not doing it. They didn't hire me." So, maybe they want to do.
She's got that brony money. She doesn't need it.
Of course, she's got the brony money.
She is going to do every brony documentary from now till the end.
She's got like $30 or $40 from me, I'm sure. But anyways.
That's a story for a different day.
That's a story for a different day.
I didn't know any of that. Like I said, I didn't watch the original series. And I think about like a lot of these shows that we've seen a lot of reboots come and fade very fast. I'm hoping, is this Disney's first one? I think this is Disney's first solid attempt with DuckTales.
I guess so. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would be rebooted that Disney has got.
Not from their animated,
canon,
they're only made for TV kind of series. Like we've seen a lot of their movies get rebooted into cartoon series, like Aladdin, Little Mermaid,
right,
Timon and Pumbaa, stuff like that. But I can't think of
any either. I can't. No, I think this is probably their first. I guess because Ninja Turtles has done gangbusters for Nickelodeon.
Oh, and when they bought that license, was it just laying around on the ground and someone's like, "Oh, this looks neat," because. They also just picked up Power Rangers again, correct?
Yes.
And Disney had that for a couple of years and thought that golden cow had tapped out.
Well, no, they bought Saban, so they had everything under the Saban banner. They had Power Rangers and they had Digimon, because I'm a big fan of I'm a big Digi nerd. They had Digimon and they did the 4th season and
no
about that. So they tried to do a Power Rangers and it just.
Talk about a show that gets rebooted every half second.
Well, I mean, let's go in. I think it's a perfect segue to.
Go for it.
Which ones do we not like? Like which reboots do we not like?
Well, I'll speak on behalf of my podcasting partner on the 52 Now. Andrew does not like Teen Titans Go, and it's a shame because I love Teen Titans Go.
It's
not really a reboot because it's completely different.
Right.
Reboots. I think I talked about this before. Beware the Batman and the Batman. I don't know because they weren't the Timbers.
Right.
And I hate to always pick out comic book ones, but that's obviously what I'm here. I'm here, and this is what I do.
Right.
Type thing. I guess that's the first ones that come to my mind that I really didn't like. There was probably a version of Ninja Turtles in there that I didn't really like. Ghostbusters.
Did you watch the
Ghostbusters Extreme. Did not like. Ruined my childhood because I'm like, what? This isn't Ghostbusters. That type thing.
Right. I mean, because
is there one that comes to your mind that you're like?
The Batman was definitely. I think it was
the Batman.
The reason why is because.
Rasta Joker?
Yeah. Because the reason was because it came so close to the end of the animated series that it was just like, well, what is this?
Yeah, it was just awful. It was awful. That's what it was.
And the studio that did the animated previously did Godzilla the series and the Men in Black series.
Which were just dogs of their own.
Right. Well, but the thing that they were really good at doing was monsters. Monsters and Aliens.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They did it very well. I mean, I kind of enjoyed the Men in Black series. I thought it was an okay series. It was one of those shows that you kind of liked. It was okay.
It's one of the ones you kind of had on while you were,
making breakfast
or you were playing with your action figures or setting up something like that.
Yeah.
I think there's a bunch of shows like that are in our subconscious that existed, but we didn't really pay attention to, and I think that's a good point. Saying that about Batman, I think it was handled by the wrong studio.
Right. I think Beware the Batman though was a good. I thought it was a pretty good
once
show.
Again, they were trying to do. It was like a Batman 0 Year series.
Yeah.
It was the first CG one. They tried to reinvent some of the characters like Copperhead and stuff like that, and make it female. I didn't really get into it. I didn't dig the animation style. I thought it was too soon right after, because they announced like they were canceling Brave and the Bold. They were relaunching DC Nation.
Right.
And they showed us like Young Justice, and then it's like this really oblong, weird show. And I think it wasn't the same studio that handled Green Lantern.
I think it actually was, and I think the other part of it was that it came on the heels of them canceling Green Lantern because Green Lantern had, I believe,
Which they should never did.
Oh no! That was an awesome show.
Awesome show.
Yeah, and I think that they
shout out to Jim Krieg again.
Yeah.
We're shouting out to Jim Krieg all over these networks.
Hi Jim, if you want to come to the podcast, call me. Anyways, but I enjoyed Green Lantern, and then Green Lantern ended. And they're like, well, let's give you Batman.
And no one wanted that Batman. I'd rather have seen the Batgirl, the fake Batgirl show that they pitched at the final episode of Brave and the Bold.
Oh.
Remember that? When Batman's like, a new Batman. It was like a Batgirl show.
Oh, man.
I think that would have been much, much better.
Actually, to tell you the truth, on the heels of, and like I said, I'm not a huge, on top of it because I've listened to your comic, your podcast, and some other ones that I listen to. This whole Batgirl thing.
Oh no!
But no.
You're opening a can of worms with me, my friend.
Well, this actually, no. This actually works because it's another segue.
Okay, go for it.
I think a Batgirl series would do good.
I think it would do good too,
Yeah.
Especially the comments that have been made lately that they're trying to make the character a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
They want to make her younger.
Yeah.
Have more of that young girl angst appeal.
Right. And if they do the same thing as My Little Pony, and
I won't go that. Yeah.
And,
maybe you're right. Maybe they take it that turn. Maybe they make it for that obscure 6 to 11-year-olds, which is obviously the marketplace for a lot of these cartoons. I mentioned before. I think on another podcast, listen to Bruce Timm speak about how WB and some of these other networks were trying to pick up shows, and it doesn't matter how many adults and teenagers and 20-year-olds watch a Batman series if they don't have 6 to 11s to sell the merchandise, and it doesn't do well in the network's eyes,
right?
Which is a shame because
Justice.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, younger Batgirl series, make it more of that fan-friendly. When you said that, I'm thinking the animation style of Crypto the Wonder, or Superdog.
No.
No, you don't want to go to that? You didn't like that show?
No.
Ace cracked me up, man. Ace was my boy.
Ace.
He was so funny. Crypto was annoying.
The show was all right, but it felt too late 80s, early 90s.
It was
to me.
It was kind of Silver Age. Yeah, it was kind of Silver Age. It came way too late in its longevity.
No, it did.
If it was a mid-90s show, you'd be like, I get it. It just is 2000s or no, not buying it.
But I mean, like I was saying, I think if they do it like My Little Pony, where it's geared for a little audience, but at the same time has this kind of thing that targets, families, because I think one of the things that strengthens that show is that, yes, it is geared towards younger girls, but it also has things in it that parents look at, because they know parents are going to watch that show. They're going to be forced to watch it.
That is I think the biggest trick right now.
Right.
Is I know there's been shows when I was a kid, and then being around a lot of my wife's cousins and sisters and stuff like that who skew a younger age. Some things they put on are awful. And then some of them, I had no idea about Invader Zim until they sat down and watched it. I'm like, this show is brilliant. Because there's a lot of stuff there that is going over kids' head, but you can still you can take something from it.
Right, exactly.
I think that's a fine line, especially if I'm hoping the DuckTales show is one of them. When I heard the first launch about it,
right.
People were talking, that's one of the big things they talk about is having something in the room that your kids can watch that isn't going to annoy you so much that you're just turn it off.
Right.
Just it's off. I remember I did that with Adventure Time. Yes. I totally wrote it off the show, watched it. I'm like, this is really, really good. Yeah. That type of thing. But there's other the current state of cartoons is not that great.
Right.
I think Disney is doing some things right. I guess Gravity Falls is a big hit.
Oh yes. I'm a big Gravity Falls.
I think I've seen
I'm a huge Gravity Falls fan. I'm wearing my Gravity Falls shirt.
I was going to say, I'm like, I think the shirt.
I'm wearing my Gravity Falls podcast.
I didn't want to say that, and you were like, that's from World of Gumball, idiot.
Oh, no. No. Yeah, this is, for those of you, one of my first podcasts I listened to was called Gravity Falls Gossiper, which talked about the Gravity Falls show.
Okay.
Got me into podcasts, and they made shirts, and I have a shirt, and
that's
awesome.
What
I'm wearing right
that's
now.
That's awesome,
man. Okay, so now that we've talked about ones we didn't like,
sure.
ones that let's predict. Let's put on our thinking caps and predict. What do you think would be coming out next?
What would I think, or what would I like?
Let's start with what would you like. What would you like to see come out first?
I don't even want them to remake the series. I just want back on air is Gargoyles. Gargoyles is one of the most brilliant shows ever that no one. I think that's Disney's best cartoon because it had similar tones to Batman the Animated Series.
Right.
It took itself very seriously.
Right, and had like a little Ninja Turtle thing going on there too.
Kind of, yeah. It was like monsters, but it was cool, and how they and it had a detective, and there was other side stories going on, and some of the characters that they, like Macbeth, it just stuck in my head. And I love that the rear canon, the storylines building up to the modern Gargoyles is all based on Shakespearean plays.
Yeah.
This really patchwork design to make. They kind of took Shakespeare. I studied Shakespeare throughout high school and college.
Right.
They made this great patchwork of all of his stories and took the best elements and characters of each, like Macbeth, and using like names like Desdemona and Goliath and stuff like that. I think the legacy was really cool. I think we live in this era of everyone loving and trying to reinvent almost like a Game of Thrones or How to Train Your Dragon.
Right.
And also living in the same era, Lord of the Rings kind of era, and plus people like the modern.
Right.
I would love to see them take Gargoyles, and they did a very good way to kind of give you the climate of the 90s and do the climate of 20 years later and how the Gargoyles show would work. And bring back
the next generation.
The next generation, but not. I would keep a lot of the same. I would do what they did with David Xanatos and just cast everyone from Star Trek: The Next Generation to do voices,
including Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. Oh, but you need Keith David. You need Keith David.
Right,
he sold that show so much. But yeah, that would be the one I would absolutely want. Prediction wise, I don't know, man.
What about LeVar Burton?
Oh yeah. He could do Brooklyn. I don't care what he does.
I mean, he's busy.
He could be LeVar Burton on Gargoyles.
He's doing Reading Rainbow, right?
Exactly. Like he's doing Reading Rainbow. He's like, the Gargoyles need me. Just bolts out, puts his Geordie LaForge visor on, and bounces.
All right, let me see.
What would you think you would like?
What would I like? Let's see. Blue Sky, I would love to see, and we're going to talk more about this in our next podcast. I'd love to see Freakazoid again, and I would like to, if I could do it, I would put him in the DCU.
Absolutely.
Because I see Freakazoid as probably a pre-Deadpool or Harley Quinn, where it's a parody. It's same in the vein as, and I'll go over this again, I'm sure, but Airplane, Robin Hood Men in Tights, those movies.
Yeah, it's like a spoof superhero type thing. Almost like I was a big fan of The Tick as a kid. It was probably one of my favorite 90s shows. And he was very much in the same vein where they did, instead of Batman, it's Batman Well and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. I think you are closer on that one, probably on both if that's what you want to see and what you're predicting.
Right.
Warner Brothers is definitely something that doesn't let anything die. Because even if you look at Tiny Toons was kind of a reboot of Looney Tunes.
Right, it was. In
a lot of ways.
Right.
Nothing dies in the That's why I like the Warner Brothers universe and DC universe so much, because nothing really dies. It just they kind of just put it on a shelf for a while, and then they're like, that was neat, and they take it off the shelf. Because I was a big fan of the, if we're talking reboot series still, the Johnny Quest reboot that they did in the 90s.
The Real Adventures of Johnny Bravo.
Yes. I used to run home to make sure I caught that on, I want to say it was on TBS.
I think it was on Cartoon Network.
It was on TBS, my friend. It was on something I could watch because I never had cable.
Maybe it was on TBS and then moved to Cartoon Network. Because I know it was on Toonami.
I remember they used to do that really cool CG Tron battle things, and I was obsessed with Tron my entire life.
Yes,
and just seeing a little piece of that, it was like the first. I want to say it was the first thing in my that besides Reboot that had like that CG kind of animation.
Right.
So Yeah, I think that's along the vein. So what do you think's coming, though?
What do I think? What do I predict is
coming? If
coming?
it's not Freakazoid, what do you think is coming down the pipe? What do you foresee?
I don't think they'll bring back any of the Steven Spielberg shows. I would love them to, but I don't think they would bring them back, only because, they only partially own those characters.
So you're talking about like Tiny Toons,
Animaniacs, Freakazoid, Pinky the Brain. Those cartoons it'll probably be a pretty hard sell because Steven Spielberg actually owns the rights to the characters themselves.
Yeah, I don't know how much business he's doing with WB. Because you would want WB Animation. You wouldn't want him to go be like, hey, we're going to give this DreamWorks Animation, and now the Penguins of Madagascar are going to team up with Freakazoid.
Oh, boy.
In a very special episode of Shrek.
No, but I don't think that would... If I could predict, probably Dexter's Laboratory.
Okay, cool.
It's still the same vein of Powerpuff Girls. Dexter's was huge. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm probably wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Dexter's was probably one of the first quote-unquote Cartoon Network cartoons that they brought out during that era.
Yeah, it could be. That was an interesting lineup at all, especially if they're starting to reboot some of those. The Powerpuff Girls will definitely ignite something.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember watching so much of Johnny Bravo and Dexter's and... Chicken and Cow.
Oh, Cow and Chicken.
Cow and Chicken.
Oh,
I knew I was going to get that. I remember a lot of that, and I was probably right outside freshman year of high school, and it was my mom and her fiance at the time would watch those shows.
Right. Yeah.
Because they grew up in the era of loving the older Looney Tunes, but the Hanna-Barbera characters.
Yes.
And if I was to say, I would like to see this or feel as though it's time for a reboot of something, I would go closer to some of the Hanna-Barbera characters.
Oh, like the old, like Yogi Bear or
Captain Caveman. I would like.
Captain Caveman.
I would love to see like a Wacky Races again.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I think we're due.
If you use Scooby Doo, Scooby Doo right now,
which never goes away. They
don't go away. They've met the WWE stars.
They just did a Flintstones with WWE as well. That just came out.
Because they have a partnership right now.
They do. They do distributing for WWE right now. Okay. All Warner Brothers Distributing actually does the DVDs and stuff like that, and they have the contract to do kids movies because now WWE is kid friendly. It's PG.
Right.
So now in that PG era, they want to do more kid friendly programming.
Right, and I like the fact that they went back and did the Flintstones. Like Scooby Doo was like, oh okay, yeah, Scooby Doo. But the Flintstones was like
different, yeah. Whoa, because you kind of have to go
back.
Yeah, because you've always saw Scooby Doo with like the Harlem Globetrotters and Batman.
That was like a no-brainer. But
you kind of put those together, and even Raven the Bold did that great one that they did like Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh my goodness, really? I haven't seen that episode.
That one? It's fantastic. Anyways, I like them going back and reinventing it. So I think in the vein of just looking at what they're doing with the WWE product, I think you're going to see more of the Hanna-Barbera characters show up in different ways.
Are you talking like in the the early 90s where they did like Yo Yogi or
no? I think they're characters that because I'm not a fan of those shows. I'll like say right now, I'll just be like,
I like Yo Yogi. No. I will, but I was like, come on, I was like 10. So.
I think they're right underneath. They're noticeable characters, but they haven't done anything in the mainstream to capture that next audience yet.
Right.
So I really think Warner Brothers is waiting to spring that universe, because really the Hanna-Barbera universe is kind of one universe.
Right.
Especially when you look at Wacky Races, that's a bunch of their franchises together. Right. And they've tried to reboot things like Hong Kong Phooey into a live-action film, and we've seen Yogi Bear live-action films, and nothing good has come from it. But saying that it's there, I have a feeling that I hope something's on the cusp where these characters come back into the mainstream. Right. So the next generation, like we talked about, how every generation's been able to enjoy these characters in some way.
Right.
Warner Brothers is really sitting on a powder keg of Hanna-Barbera. Plus, the older Looney Tunes have really been out of the forefront for a while.
Right. It's been a long time. Like, they tried to do the Looney Tunes show, but I guess that didn't work out as well as they were hoping. Because they tried to do, like, sitcom-y, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think they were pitching to the wrong audience.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just it's just one of those shows that they kind of promoted wrong. I don't think the show's bad because really still Warner Brothers has a lot of love for, obviously, their core characters.
Oh, yeah,
They have a lot. And we were talking about the documentary, I Know That Voice.
I Know That Voice. Mm-hmm.
And how many actors they have on, like, this retainer that, like, this is our Porky Pig, this is our Bugs, this is our Daffy, this is... And people are still doing those voices, but where are they?
Right.
That type of thing. So I have a feeling, just from seeing that and seeing the little bit of things that they're trying, that like, they're experimenting, they're putting stuff out there, they're putting the characters out there again.
Right.
Even if it's just commercials or references or using it for their own internal, like Warner Brothers uses it for their website or something like that.
Right.
I have a feeling that stuff's going to purge soon, and we're going to see. It's most likely going to be a Cartoon Network, but we're going to see something from that again.
I don't know what I would say for Disney.
What can you say? Because they'll bury franchises you love forever.
I mean, I'll give you a love list of things I'd like to see revamped. Kim Possible. I loved Kim Possible.
I think it's a little soon on that. Didn't we get that with Phineas and Ferb? Doesn't it feel similar? It feels like a similar show to me.
Kinda. I mean, I'm surprised how long Phineas and Ferb has been going.
What?
I love the no.
I was going to say, I'm like, what are you talking about?
I love
this
the
podcast
show.
is over.
No. I love the show. Believe me, I love the show. I absolutely adore. I got to work at a Phineas and Ferb area at my job, and we got to do interactive where you get to actually meet the characters, but the cartoon characters.
Okay, cool.
It was really neat, and I loved it all. I loved so much because I got to like talk to kids, and we got to sing the songs.
So if they relaunch Kim Possible,
right,
as a standalone show again, or
I think standalone would be probably the best. But you're probably right. It is too.
It's too soon.
It's too soon. But if I could blue sky it, I would probably say Kim Possible be one. If DuckTales does good, I'm probably going to say they're going to try to go to like Tailspin, Chippendales Rescue Rangers. And, you know, how many fanboys would love to see Gadget Mouse again.
Which is just weird, guys. Go get a girlfriend. Start a Tinder profile, please. Do us all the favor.
But, you know, I probably think that if DuckTales does well, they'll probably dip into Tailspin and hopefully Darkwing Duck. Like, okay. When you were talking about Darkwing Duck earlier, when Disney bought Marvel, I went to MegaCon that year.
Yeah.
And I think it was like right after, like a couple weeks after they bought them and they made the announcement, somebody did a drawing of Gizmo Duck, but as Iron Man. And I saw that and I was like, I would like to see that as a series.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
You do these series crossovers. And you think on... I think Disney has good intentions, and you know that they have an animation department that probably sits on all these franchises and all these characters.
Right.
And they're like, where do we go? Like, we have Star Wars now. We have all of Marvel. Plus, we have our own legacy pre-'80s characters that everyone loves. Right. And then now them dipping back into their television franchises. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do you filter? It's like a lot of energy out in the universe.
Right.
And they're trying to fill it, you know, fit it onto TV screens.
Right.
It's just a lot to do. I think one of the best bets, I'm hoping DuckTales, like I said before, is a conduit.
Yes.
Of where they can build and say, hey, Tailspin's a part of this universe.
Right.
Darkwing Duck, obviously. Mm-hmm. Goof Troop's a part of this universe. Yeah. Bonkers is a part of this universe.
Oh, no.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah,
where,
I
like,
see what you're going now.
We have talking cartoon animals. Right. Let's all put them together. Because that
world make it.
Launch Party McQuack flying against Baloo.
That would be awesome.
Come on.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Cloud Kicker meeting the boys.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
You're all over the place on that, man.
Dude.
I would cross over the entire Disney afternoon universe.
Make it a universe. Well, make it like the comics, where it's one thing, and the different
have
shows.
The boys. Yeah, I think there's
like
a lot there that they could. Like I said, I hope it's a conduit, and they realize they can make one big universe and
Right.
share their characters in these bigger, better stories. Now, here's a question that I want to throw at you. With
Okay.
that show wasn't serialized. You could watch it in any order.
Yeah, you can watch DuckTales.
Is that what you're hoping for again, or would you rather see them get into like these bigger stories that have consequence?
I think bigger stories with consequence only because my favorite episode of DuckTales is Super DuckTales, which was the introduction of Gizmo
Duck, okay.
And that was what? That was like 5 or 6
episodes.
parts.
Yeah.
It was a good chunk.
With
of
Drake Mallard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Drake? Yeah.
No, not Drake Mallard. Oh, crap.
I hate that I just put you on the spot for that name because I couldn't remember it.
Fenton Crackshell. There we
Thank
go.
you.
Fenton
Yeah, because you
Crackshell.
kind of he's like the stumbling, bumbling.
Right. And
yeah.
to tell you the truth, I would like to see a Gizmo Duck show on his own. I think it would be pretty cool, and then maybe bring in Darkwing Duck and
Yeah,
other
maybe
characters.
that would work.
But
yeah.
but you know that was like I don't know what season of DuckTales that was. I don't know if you remember this, but when that episode first premiered, they made it a movie and put it on NBC.
No, I don't
Yes,
know.
they did.
That.
And the only
crazy.
only reason I remember this is because my dad took a VHS and recorded it when it played on TV, and I remember having to go through all the commercials and stuff like that. But yes, played on NBC. It was a huge movie. They basically took all 6 or 7 episodes, smushed it all together, and made one big movie.
Oof.
And it was one of my favorite episodes, and it's still to this day. Even when I went to go find the box sets, like I made sure the first box set I bought was the one with Super DuckTales.
Yeah.
Because I needed to watch that episode.
You need to watch the whole thing over again?
And even now, it's still like I'm still watching and going, "Oh, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
What is gonna happen? I don't know." You know.
I think there's a lot of like I said before, there's a lot of crossover they can do with those characters, and maybe a Gizmo Duck is a good way to kind of blend the universe together.
Right.
To put Gizmo Duck and give him Launchpad as a sidekick, because Launchpad is a cool character because he was a main character on both shows.
Right.
Which was just
He's a sidekick,
weird.
yeah.
And you're like, I love him on this. I love him on that. Too. And he played the same character. Well, they didn't really alter it.
Here's an interesting fact. I don't know if you know this or not, but he was actually supposed to be the main character in Tailspin.
Tailspin?
Yes.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Why did they go with
supposed to
Jungle
be.
Book characters? Just because?
I don't remember the exact reason.
They had
but
a
I
lot of blue
believe-
plush sitting at Disney. They're like, we need to move these things.
Right.
Put a pilot shirt and cap on them.
No,
They'll fly
I
out the
think-
door.
I think what happened was they got the idea for Darkwing Duck, and you guys out there could probably correct me if I'm wrong at Tails FT Game Grade.
Oh, please do.
But I believe they came up with the idea of Darkwing Duck. They're like, well, we have this other idea. What are we going to do with it? And they're like, well, it worked with Chip and Dale. It worked with Donald Duck. Let's do Jungle Book, you know? So
yeah, which was a weird...
it was, but it worked.
Yeah, I think they built it.
It didn't connect to the movie at all. It was just completely separate universe.
Because there's no humans in that universe.
No, it's all animals.
But Jungle Book had one main human that you followed the entire time. I loved Shere Khan in that.
Shere Khan was the Lex
such
Luthor.
a cool,
he was the
so
Lex
cool.
Luthor of the show, and at times he was the good guy, at times he was the bad guy.
And Louis ran a bar in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah,
It was
Louis ran a bar in the
weird.
middle of the ocean.
You go back and you pull that episode of that show apart, and it's just like, what were they thinking?
Right. Well, I will have to say, though, at that time, because if I remember correctly, that was the time that Rocketeer came out, and I think they were trying to capitalize on that.
Like the whole Howard Hughes kind of
which actually worked for me
adventure.
because when that show came out, I was huge into airplanes.
Oh, okay,
I loved airplanes.
So you must have loved that.
Yeah, I thought it was... When I saw the Sea Duck for the first time, I was just like, oh my goodness, that is an amazing plane.
All I remember from that show fondly that it still makes me laugh is Don Carnage's voice.
Oh.
That bad French wolf air pirate. I'm like, who sat down and wrote this character?
And Kit Cloud character, his boomerang
air
thing,
surfboard
I
thing.
had to get an action figure of him, because
Yeah,
that thing was
it would
awesome.
always fly behind the shit. Yeah, I distinctly. You remember that as a kid, and then you see it now. You're like, that's physically impossible.
That
That's
is
why it's in a
physically
cartoon.
impossible, but
you just fall out of the ground.
it's still to this day. I'm like, that would be awesome. I would love to have that.
Yeah, they
You
can
know?
reboot that series, but like Kit could be wearing like a GoPro. And
I can see that.
that'd be it'd just be amazing.
Okay, so we talked about all that. Let's talk about what we don't want to see them reboot. Is there
Oh,
anything you don't
jeez.
want to see rebooted?
That's
Attack of the
it's
Killer
tough.
Tomatoes.
I've been someone who I try not to attack things before I see them.
Right,
I try
right.
mentally. My brain just goes no. Like when Brave and the Bold came out,
Right,
I was against it at first, and then it ended up being one of my favorite shows.
right.
I know, like just recently, the nerds were when they first announced like Ghostbusters being reboot with an all-female cast.
Right.
I remember watching an interview with Seth Green, and he said the same thing. He's like, I try not to kill it because there's been times that mainstream media has rebooted something precious like Star Trek,
Right.
and everyone comes out and it's like, no, it's awful, blah blah, and it comes out being awesome.
Right.
But then we get Indiana Jones and Star Wars, and we're like, what are they thinking? What would I not like to see rebooted? Simpsons, because we don't have the time.
I know. Yeah.
And that's not bashing on the Simpsons. It's just it's forever.
Yeah.
Series that have ended from my childhood. I as much as I said Gargoyles before, there's a part of me that's like, I don't think Disney would want to make it as edgy as they did.
Right.
I think we live in a different era. And even when they did that ABC standalone show, remember when they did like, and the animation was a little bit different, but they did things like hate groups against them and stuff like that.
Oh, the Goliath Chronicles, I believe.
Yeah.
it's called.
Oh, that's it. The
Yeah.
Goliath Chronicles. You told me, I still couldn't say it right.
Yeah.
I guess I would say a lot of the Nicktoons, I don't want to see them revamped. I think SpongeBob has got them away from shows like Rocko's
wouldn't wanna
Modern
see-
Life
Oh, yeah.
and
You would want to see a rebooted Ren and Stimpy?
that we already have.
Oh.
They did that one for Spike TV when it relaunched,
Oh,
and they're
that's
like,
right.
they're like, oh,
I
it's the
forgot about
adult
that.
action. Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
evening hour. And that guy, if you watch the unedited episodes of Ren and Stimpy, which there are on YouTube, it's a totally different show. That show should have never been shown to children ever.
I will have to say I wasn't a huge fan of it. Like
It's demented comedy.
I
It's
think-
really dark, twisted kind of humor.
I think I liked it for like maybe a month or two, and then I was like, okay, I'm not so much
Yeah.
into it now. But I mean, okay, yeah, Nicktoons. I would not like to see a reboot of Doug.
We already did.
Oh well, technically,
Disney bought it.
Well, Disney bought it and continued it, but it wasn't a reboot.
It was a soft.
It was just
a soft reboot.
kind of all right. But I would not like to see like I wouldn't like to see Disney rebooted again.
No. I think we let it go.
Right, we let that go. I would not like to see them reboot. If we're going for a little more adult cartoons, I'd say Futurama. Definitely don't.
Futurama's funny with me because as much as I love John DiMaggio, and I do,
Uh-huh.
shout out to John DiMaggio, and how brilliant he is on that show.
Definitely.
And I like how the show's written, but I've never been a huge fan of it. And when I say that to people, they're like, what? I'm like, it's one of those things that it hasn't gone away yet because I heard that they're still trying to bring the show back. I'm like, there's
Good fans for it.
there's a time and place where these shows kind of they need to take that time and go away for you to kind of reflect on them.
Right.
If there's constant like Simpsons to me is the perfect example of something that is well past its prime.
Right.
Where people have gotten to the routine of I watch The Simpsons. And they haven't really done anything to change the show, but if it ever went away, which it might not,
I don't know if it'll do that in our lifetime.
it's scary when you think about that.
Right.
And if it ever went away, if someone's like, well, let's reinvent it from the beginning, I said, we did that. It was called Family Guy.
Yeah.
Which is basically a reinvention of The Simpsons, just edgier and, clean.
Shock humor. Yeah.
Shock humor type thing, like really kind of thing. But no, I would say the things I look fondly on shows like I would say Rocko's Modern Life. Some of the other ones they've already kind of touched on. Angry Beavers would be one. I was a huge fan of that show, and then found out years later it wasn't a true Nicktoon. It was made by some Canadian studio, and that's a show that if they didn't get the voice casting or the tone right on it again, it would probably darken the memories of what already existed.
Right.
So I would say those two would be my pick.
Well, I mean, because it would probably fit in now too, because I've noticed that a lot of shows nowadays are trying to go so weird.
Adventure Time has a lot to do with that, and SpongeBob I think was the big
start.
Big start of that.
SpongeBob was trying to go off of Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, but more for kids.
Yeah, but more for kids. And then because of SpongeBob, now we have shows, and then of course Adventure Time came out,
which is really obscure and different.
Which is, but has a serious undertone. A lot of these shows nowadays just seem like they're just being weird.
They're just being goofy.
Yeah. They're not being. You're not being. Weird because you're just.
It's the tone of the show.
Yeah. It's just you're being weird to be weird, and it's I don't know, but I definitely would fit it in there. I mean, the only show I'm even kind of looking forward to is Star versus the Force of Evil, and that's only because it has an interesting premise, even though it looks absolutely weird. I want to know who did it though. So Tails at FD, let me know, please.
What is there anything you're fear of rebooting that will taint your childhood and be like,
if let's say we can throw at anything we want.
Sure.
Tiny Toon Adventures. I would love to see that rebooted. However, if they make the characters older, or
I don't know if they would do that.
I mean, let's be real. They tried to do Quack Pack, which was kind of a revamp of DuckTales.
Yes.
And it wasn't as good. It was all right, but it wasn't as good as DuckTales. And that's kind of what I wouldn't want to see with that. It's kind of like just redone and like age the characters or something like that. I would love to see it rebooted though. I'd love to see because one of the things that I loved about both Animaniacs and Tiny Toons was the very pop culture references, and that would kind of fit into nowadays.
There is so much ammo for them now because of social media and how celebrities live on our phones.
Right.
I think I agree, especially Animaniacs, who would just
now
throw out
Animaniacs, though. That's a show I would love to see
reboot. Really?
I think
original voice cast. Though.
Oh, definitely. I would love to see that rebooted, and I think they would do it justice.
I would like to see it. It's a format that wasn't available to us when we were younger that is now becoming more popular is these 15-minute shows.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
And 5-minute shows. Yeah. Or even having, like, when they revamped Space Ghost back in the 90s, he was a TV host, so he did a 15-minute talk show.
Yeah,
I think
Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Yeah, I think a lot of these characters have an opportunity to live on in a shorter, smaller format, even if it's a web format.
Right.
That they didn't have the opportunity to do back in the 90s.
Right.
I'm big for that, especially, but in small bursts, because Animaniacs was very much a variety show, where Tiny Toons is more of a like a sitcom format.
Yeah, it was very sitcom-y. Which is why it was weird that when they did the Looney Tunes show that they didn't.
They tried the same kind of formula. They should have did like a variety show, like almost like Muppet Show type thing.
Well, that's the thing. Well, I've only seen a few episodes of Looney Tunes show, but it kind of like a mix between variety and sitcom. Because they had like a little.
Well, they have skits in there, but they have one ongoing theme, like Muppet Show. Yeah, if you ever watch old episodes of the Muppet Show, they have that one ongoing theme, but then they throw the other skits out there.
Usually had like a song in the middle, or they did the CG.
They had a song in the middle of the Looney Tunes show.
Right, it would cut to like a song, like them like doing a song. I don't know. It's usually original songs that they would do.
No,
and then
if they did like parody music videos, I'd be all over it or something like that.
But or it was either that or they did a CG Roadrunner Coyote.
I remember seeing those.
Yes.
I remember that is the only thing that I saw from that. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'd watch a whole show of just that.
Yeah.
Because that comedy never dies. It really doesn't.
Well, yeah.
Just like Coyote. Just never dies.
It never dies.
But that's cool.
But I think that's pretty much it.
I think we got wrapped. No, I'm thinking more about what I used to watch as a child and how many wasted hours I spent in front of television. Not wasted, constructive hours.
Well, yeah, that made you the creative person you are now. That's why I see it.
That's the word, creative. No, I think it's good. I'm excited about the couple. I'm glad avenues like Netflix and Amazon Video on Demand's getting really big, and I have a feeling, and now like Xbox and Sony are getting into doing their own syndicated shows. Right. It's a lot of opportunity for these smaller cartoons that maybe kind of went under the radar or kind of in the ether can be pulled down and made into something new for a new generation. Right. So I think the ones they're starting with are solid titles. Like I said, Danger Mouse we're originally talking about. Danger Mouse is probably the most obscure. Yeah. DuckTales I think will be successful because the machine behind it is very successful. Oh yeah, definitely. And Inspector Gadget was a show I think of very fondly as a kid. It was one of my cousin's favorite shows. And no, not the live action movies. I was not a huge fan of, but I'm hoping.
Watching the cartoons now because for a while there was a TV station here in Orlando that was playing old cartoons, and Inspector Gadget was one of them. And I watched it, and I was like,
they do a block of that and Get Smart, and you'll be like, this is the same show.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, the animation in that cartoon, phenomenal. Like when his car transforms. Like
which one? The original.
Yeah, the original.
The handwritten is a lot of there's a lot of work in that.
When his car transforms, you just sat there and went, "Oh my gosh, I wish I had that car." You know?
Yeah.
You know, I'm hoping that they do it justice. You know, again.
My biggest fear with that one is I don't want them to do like one of these sly, revamped techno theme songs. Just put the original theme song in.
Do what Pokemon did. Do what Pokemon did and take the original.
Just take the original. We don't need a remixed.
We just get a new singer if you want to, but just keep.
I don't need the auto tunes version of it, but
I don't. Like if you ever seen Pokemon X and Y, they basically just took the old song and boom, they just re-sang it and that was it. That's really all they changed. But anyways. So that's pretty much it. I think that's good.
I think that's good.
So thank you so much for joining me, Dave, for our first episode. I really enjoyed it, man. We had a good time.
We had a good time. We got to do this again. I think we will.
I think we will do it again. Just to let you guys know, our next episode is going to be my top 10 90s Saturday morning cartoon shows. I'm very excited about this because I'm very excited to talk about this stuff. And it's going to be really, really exciting. So thank you so much for joining us here, folks, tonight. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us. Anything
Thanks for having me.
Before we go?
No, we are just keep... we're doing stuff.
Awesome.
The 52 now, we're recording. We got a couple new episodes coming up. MegaCon's coming up, depending when you're listening to this. I know we were doing some big stuff. Yeah, everyone will be there for the cast, so I think it'll be really good.
Awesome. Cool. And again, please make sure you like us on iTunes and all that stuff. And thank you so much, guys. This is Ubernerd signing off.
Yes, so thank you, Ubernerd527. If you enjoyed this jolly banter and just willy-nilly things that just happened, then please go to iTunes and give us a review. 5 stars or more would be wonderful. However you do that, I am sure you can. Anyways, if you like this silliness, then please go to the Arcade Archives website, arcadearchives.wordpress.com, and see all the jolly, wonderful, crazy people that are on there as well. You can also follow us at facebook.com/TalesFromTheGameGrid, or follow us on Twitter at TalesFTGameGrid. Thank you ever so much for joining us here on the Cartoon Connoisseur Theater Podcast. And now I am going to eat a large meal. Good night.